1, top.
Satellite to the ground, the teams on the ground, the feed lines, those are being disconnected. Underneath that mast is another mast, it's called the VKM, and that is taking the umbilicals to the lower part of the vehicle. All the electrical links between the ground and the vehicle. Those two both retract shortly before liftoff. You'll see the big one go first, and then after that the one underneath it, the VKM. A word about the ignition sequence. On Soyuz there's a system for checking the health of the engines before it leaves the pad. The engines on the 4 boosters and the core stage are switched on 16 minutes before liftoff, and the thrust is gradually increased to check that the engines are all working fine. And then the engines are throttled up to full thrust, and at that point the vehicle leaves the pad and the swing arms pivot away.
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute.
We are 1
Top.
minute.
À 0 moins 1 minute.
1 minute to launch. We are live at the Guyana Space Center. And we're launching Hispasat 36W1 for the Spanish operator Hispasat, and the first of the European Space Agency's small GEO family of platforms, built by the German contractor OHB. Our very best wishes to all the teams.
Largage du Macazedem. À tous de DDO. Attention pour le début de la séquence d'allumage lanceur. Top, à 0-20 secondes. Largage du VKM, allumage triétage. À 12 de DDO. Attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Top. Et décollage VSS. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And they are off! Hispasat
Stabilisation correcte
36W1.
du lanceur.
The European Space Agency's first ever small GEO platform has begun its journey. Everything's going well. A word about the confirmations of major events in the flight. We're seeing the key moments happening at the right time, but we get the actual confirmations of those milestones slightly later. That's perfectly normal. That's because it takes a little time for the information to get from the launcher to the range operations manager here at the Guyana Space Center. And that's because it goes via Moscow, where it's validated before coming to the Launch Control Center here at the CSG.
Le déroulement du vol est conforme à l'attendu.
Top right-hand side of the screen is the trajectory, the planned trajectory. The white dot is the actual position of the launcher. Distance in the bottom middle there is the distance from the pad if you were to draw a line along the Earth. So we are now jettisoning the fairing that was protecting the satellite during the launch. But we don't need it anymore because if you look at our altitude on the bottom left, You can see that we're 120 kilometers high and we have crossed the border, the Kármán line as it's known, effectively the border with space. So there's not enough friction to cause us any problems. And we can see our satellite for the first time.
Les paramètres bord sont normaux.
Our speed there on the right hand side, 3 kilometers per second at the moment. We'll be getting faster later. Let's just remind everybody that's kilometers per second. So we can see our satellite, there it is on the right. The rectangular or square looking sections, the blue sections are the solar panels, and the gold structure is the frigate upper stage. And now we have the scheduled separation of the second stage and ignition of the third stage. Actually, it's the other way around. Ignition of the third stage first and separation of the second stage later. That's because Soyuz...
Allumage bloc I, séparation bloc A et extinction.
There we go, have the confirmation there. Soyuz uses what's called a hot stage technique. That means that the third stage switches its engine on while the second stage is still burning. That's why the Soyuz has an open area in between the second and third stages, a kind of lattice work area. The launch campaign manager for